today, including our Florida Department of Veterans Affairs Executive Director, General James Hammer Hartzell. We also have our former Department of Veterans Affairs Executive Director and current Florida State Senator Danny Burgess, as well as Danny's colleagues in the Senate, Jay Collins and Keith Truenow. We also have Representatives McFarland, Oliver, Nix, and Albert, who are joining us here today, and I want to thank them for being here. So today marks 81 years where we had a merry band of brothers storming the beaches of Normandy, and their task was a monumental one, to liberate Europe and ultimately to be able to preserve freedom here and throughout the world. They were not favored to necessarily be successful in that mission. They suffered an enormous number of casualties on that June 6th day, but ultimately they prevailed in that operation and eventually prevailed in winning a decisive victory, and not just the European theater, but of course the Asian theater as well. We don't have very many folks who were on that mission that are with us anymore. I mean, I think 81 years, you can do the math. You're basically down to a lot of people who are lying about their age to be able to get into the service, and people did do that at the time. But I think because of that, and we've seen that just over the course of me being governor, as we've seen those older generations pass away, we have a responsibility to keep the memory of what they did alive. And that's one of the reasons why we're so strong on ensuring that we have really robust civics education in our schools. We want people to know what it means to be an American. We want them to understand the founding principles of this country, but we also want to stress that those things that we hold so dear, those don't run on autopilot. Freedom is not free. It needs to be fought for, and it needs to be preserved. And there are certain flashpoints in our country's history, and really all of human history, but in American history, where that freedom was really on the line in a big way. And June 6, 81 years ago, was one of those days. I know there was an enormous amount of sacrifice that went in far beyond just the D-Day invasion in terms of what the American people sacrificed in that conflict. But I think we're all of an agreement that we're better off for their great heroic sacrifices. And so we remember that today, 81 years later, and it's fitting that as we remember what they did there, that we also can be here today to sign legislation that shows our commitment to the people who live in our state who did wear the uniform. And it comes in a variety of ways. We still have some World War II vets. We've got a lot of Vietnam vets, and then like me, we've got a lot of post 9/11 vets who served during that crazy time. And Florida is and will remain the #1 state for veterans in the entire country. So we've got some folks here that I want to recognize at the outset. We have Sergeant Hugo Riva. He's about to turn 105 years old. He served... 105, he's going to be 105 years old. He served as a flight engineer and gunner on a B-17 bomber in the European theater during the Second World War. So God bless you, my man. You look like $1 million, I'll tell you what. So keep it up, whatever you're doing, keep it going. We thank you for your service. We also have First Sergeant Raymond Melendez, 96-year-old veteran who proudly served in the Army in the Pacific Theater during World War II. We also have Army Specialist Elmer Franklin, a Vietnam veteran who serves as resident council president. We're also joined by, I saw Charlie Flynn. Where's Charlie? And then I saw, is James O'Leary here? He's over there. Okay, and I know we have some others. So just everybody, we appreciate what you do. I always like to say that you can have these different things where you can speak, elected officials speak on Veterans Day, and they say this and that, and a lot of times it's just platitudes that are empty and they're not backed up by anything. And I'm somebody who speaks a lot just in the job I do, and so I do believe that words can be meaningful, but ultimately it's deeds that are the most powerful. You can say that you support veterans, but what are you actually doing to put your money where your mouth is? What are your actions telling us about whether you're getting the job done? And I'm proud to say that Florida's home to roughly 1.5 million veterans. That's the third most of any state in the nation. Now, we're the third largest in population, kind of a distant third. I mean, California and Texas have way more people than we do, but I would say, and I think Hammer would agree, we punch above our weight class in terms of the percentage of veterans when you look at it this way. And I can just tell you, as a Navy guy, we've got a lot of Navy installations in Florida. When you get stationed in Florida, it's like military, you 2 years here, 3 years there, year and a half here, you bounce around, right? You don't just go serve in one duty station for 20 years. And so people go around. And in Navy, there's certain places that you go. If you're in aviation, a lot of times Pensacola will be a spot that you go to. We have an air station in Jacksonville, Port and Mayport. There's all these different things. But then you've got Norfolk, Virginia. It's got a huge Navy footprint. San Diego, Washington State. There's all these different things. But chances are you come through Florida at one point or another when you're in the Navy. And what I know people will do is once they're able to establish that Florida residency, they do not give it up. And so they buy a home. The thing is, you buy a home, that's your home of record. So then if they do transfer you from, say, Mayport to San Diego, you don't have to pay California state tax. They tax you on your home state. So we're proud of that. We know people have enjoyed being able to live and thrive in the state of Florida as a veteran. Over the past few years, we've signed legislation that supports pretty much every aspect of the life of military veterans. We've increased access to educational opportunities post-deployment. We've supported military families and their children, including with education options in the K-12 system. We've expanded mental health resources for veterans returning from overseas deployments. We've created new solutions for veterans to obtain workforce training and employment. Last year, we signed over a dozen veteran-related bills, which are already having positive impacts on our communities across the state. Our budget last year had nearly $100 million to support various initiatives that help Florida's veterans. And this is everything from workforce preparedness to mental health, helping alleviate and eradicate homelessness amongst veterans, education, medical, legal services, you name it. We're in the game on all of those. Now, that number included almost $20 million allocated to Florida DVA that went to, among other things, dental care for low-income veterans, employment and training services programs, and building a new state veterans nursing home in Collier County, further south from here, as well as doing upgrades on additional veterans homes across the state. Now, this year, my budget, so we're in the first week of June, and the fiscal year ends at the end of this month, and the legislature still has not produced a budget. Now, this was due over a month ago, and I know some of these legislators here, if it was up to them, this would have been done a long time ago, but the reality is these things do what they do. So we'll see what ends up happening as that process unfolds, but we had an additional $15.3 million in our recommendations that we did at the beginning of the year to support capital improvements for our veterans state nursing homes, as well as $1 million to provide for a veterans dental care grant program. And I would like to see the legislature show their support for veterans by including that in the budget that they're working on. And we think something's going to happen, but, well, one way or another, something will happen. I can guarantee you that. So we also, though, we have Florida DVA, which is great, but it's a relatively small footprint. It's nothing compared to like the U.S. VA, which honestly, I mean, that's too big of a bureaucracy, and I don't think it always serves the veterans well. And most veterans think about going to U.S. VA before they think about state, but nevertheless, so that serves an important function. But we have other agencies that interact with the general public, but also have specific veteran-focused missions. So our Department of Commerce administers several programs to support veterans as they transition to new careers. Veteran state grant programs, state small business credit initiatives, and Paychecks for Patriots, which connects veterans with hundreds of potential employers through a series of fairs held throughout the state. Our Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation has programs designed to help active